It's officially NBA opening night, which means we get to go through our annual preseason predictions to see who's going to take home this year's most prestigious accolades. Each year, I try to get 50% correctly. Last year, I was one away from being correct due to politics. And oh yeah, I got the number one draft pick this year for my NBA fantasy league. Who am I going to pick? Answers coming soon. Before I break down today's NBA preseason predictions, I wanted to go ahead and shout out today's sponsor, which is me, the John Wayne Collection. Consider visiting my eBay store where I list the NBA's most historical cards, Type 1 photos, and ticket stubs to the NBA's most historical moments. Anyone who spends more than $250 per order will receive a John Wayne Collection autograph sticker. I hope to see you soon, and thank you so much. Okay, well, let's go ahead and break down our 2025 preseason predictions. Now, as I go down this list, I am going to remind you of my picks from last year just to see where we went right and where we went wrong. Now, last year, my goal was 50% accuracy, and I missed it by 1. And that was because of my MVP pick of Luka, which to this day, I still think he was MVP last year in hindsight, especially after seeing what he did in the playoffs and the finals. I know it's a regular season accolade, but come on, let's go. I think he was the best player in the season, in the playoffs, and in the finals. Maybe not the finals, but maybe. I think he was the best player overall last year. So other than that, I would have hit my 50%. Now let's go ahead and break down the first accolade. It's going to be Rookie of the Year. Now my finalists are going to be Reed Sheppard and Zach Edey. Now, I did see Zach Edey's preseason games, and he looked really, really good. He's definitely going to be used on the Memphis Grizzlies and is going to be a perfect replacement for big man Adams. So he's a perfect replacement. He'll be used a lot more, but I think Reed Sheppard is a lot more skilled, and he could be used across the league right now pretty much on any roster. So I think it's just perfect fit for Zach Edey, which may help him. But my gut tells me to go with Reed Sheppard here for this year. Let's see if Edey can even stay healthy. Let's see what a big man looks like in today's era, and let's see what he looks like against other big men. I'm going to pick Reed Sheppard for Rookie of the Year for 2025. Going down the list here, Defensive Player of the Year. Last year I picked JJJ. I thought he was going to shine in Memphis without many of the role players, without Ja Morant. I thought he was just going to absolutely destroy the league and look somewhat like Anthony Davis. But Gobert went ahead and took that Defensive Player of the Year from Wemby. At the end of the year, Wemby almost chased him down, but Gobert with another Defensive Player of the Year. This year, my finalists are going to be Evan Mobley and actually Wemby. I'm going to ride that last year, that wave Wemby gave us, and I think he's going to be bigger, stronger, faster than Mobley. So I'm actually going to take Defensive Player of the Year, Wemby. He's getting it in his second year in the NBA. Third category is going to be Sixth Man of the Year. Now, last year I took Emmanuel Quigley. I thought he was going to, be a handful in New York, but a trade ended up derailing that campaign, and it wasn't him. It's okay. This year, my finalist is going to be Malik Monk or Dante DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo is going to be interesting because he's going to a new team. So let's see if he has enough time this year to kind of find his way, find his path on the Timberwolves. I think it's a pretty even trade. I think the Knicks win the trade for sure, but it's obvious that DiVincenzo works with that new Wolves scheme of playing defense last year, which made them extremely successful in the playoffs. So as much as the Knicks might have technically won because they just maybe got a better player, the Wolves might have just got a better fit. So let's see what DiVincenzo can do on that new roster. He's a three-point assassin. I mean, he blew up out of nowhere, like the third or fourth best shooter from three last year. It's insane. And then Malik Monk, which is going to be interesting because he is like Jamal Crawford off the ball. I mean, you throw him in the game, he's ready to go. Like he's just got off scoring 40 points right now. That's his confidence through the roof. I absolutely love it. With DeRozan going to the Sacramento Kings this year, I think it kind of clogs things up for him. So I'm going to lean towards it. I'm going with Dante DiVincenzo for 6th man of the year this year. And let's see what happens. Okay, we're going to go with most improved player. Now, I had a lot of finalists for this one. Let me list you off a few players that I think is going to maybe make a run. So this is most improved player. Who was the most performing player last year? It was probably Scoot Henderson. I mean, he can only go up from here. So Scoot Henderson, you never know. Maybe he ends up turning his career around. Maybe let's see what he's done in his offseason. But that preseason interview does not make me confident in him. So he made the list. Jalen Williams made the list. Cam Thomas from the Brooklyn Nets. He may pop off this year. He may have a breakout year. That's a young guy that may end up going like 20 points a game next year. So Cam Thomas made the finalists this year. Josh Giddey, new location, new city, and there's no one there but Zach LaVine. So he may end up being the new Ben Simmons with a 10-10-10 triple-double type of player. Then you have Kuminga, and then you have Wemby, who are super obvious. For me, most improved, when I went ahead and narrowed down my list, it was hard for me to go with anyone else other than Kuminga and Wemby. Wemby's points, he was 21 points a game last year. It wouldn't surprise me if he's 28, 29 points a game. That's pretty big. A lot of rebounds and assists last year. He really did everything. So you never quite know, but I'm actually going to go with Kuminga this year. I think he can become an all-star. I think maybe he does the same. Maybe he's a 26, 28 points per game player, and maybe he has a breakout year. Maybe gets a few dunks on a few people that just really turns heads. So for most improved player this year, I'm going to go with Kuminga this year over Wemby. Now for MVP. Last year I picked Luka. It ended up being Embiid. I thought Luka was the best player of the year. This year, I think he's the best player of the year. I think he's going to be the best player of the year. I think he's the MVP. I don't think there's anyone in the league that's better than him. I think Luka is the number one player in the world right now. And I'm going to go with him again. I'm taking him over Shea. I just think he's a better player than Shea. And Shea's a really good player, but I honestly think he's overrated. He needs to continue this for a few more years to really see really show us what he's about. So I'm just not convinced with Shea. I just think he's completely not overrated, but I just think he's getting a little bit too much praise. So, he's new to the league. He's new to the league, and I think after 2 or 3 seasons, players are going to figure him out. And Luka, he's just bigger, stronger, and smarter than you versus Shea, who's quick, shifty, and unpredictable right now, but maybe in a couple of seasons, I think people start figuring out his game. So I'm taking Luka MVP. Okay, so now going on to the NBA champs. Last year, I picked the Boston Celtics. That was before Drew Holiday and Porzingis. I thought they were the best team in the league. I thought they've been together longer than anyone, and they've been knocking on the door. I thought it was their year last year, and it was. This year, they have Porzingis, they have Holiday, and they have more experience. I don't think anyone else in the league has gotten better, and I think they're going to win it again. Over the offseason, the owners were asked who they thought was most likely going to win this year, and I think over 80% picked the Boston Celtics, and I think rightly so. I think they're the new Warriors right now. I think they're light years ahead of everyone else, and I don't even think there's a clear second. I think the Celtics are here. No one else is here, and then I think it's the rest of the league under that. I think there's only 2 or 3 teams in the East that can challenge them, which is going to be the Bucks, of course. It's going to be the usual suspects. The Bucks, it's going to be Philadelphia, of course. And then maybe who do you have, the Knicks or the Heat? I think the Knicks or the 76ers are most likely the biggest threat to the Celtics, but they really haven't been able to string anything together. The New York Knicks are brand new, and everyone thinks that these new teams are just going to be thrown together and win championships. Over the last 5 to 7 years, it's been proven over and over and over that year one teams typically don't win. It just doesn't work that way anymore. It takes 2 to 3 years to get cohesive chemistry going on with your team, and it's just not going to work. You just can't throw teams together and win championships anymore. those years of just getting an all-star like Kawhi Leonard on the Toronto Raptors and you think you're going to win is just not happening anymore. So I think maybe the Knicks are a year or two away. I think the Celtics are just going to repeat again. And in regards to the Western Conference this year, I really think it's probably a 10-team race to the finals. I think you can pull a name out of the hat and that team can make the finals. And it's that competitive. I think this year it's going to be so competitive that it's going to cause more injuries than normal because no one's going to have an opportunity to fall behind. If you fall behind early in the West, you're gone. So I think the competitiveness is going to be so much more elevated this year that we're going to see a lot more superstars hurt than normal, which is maybe going to allow a random mid-tier team to actually step up in the playoffs. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Sacramento Kings in the finals this year. I wouldn't be surprised to see a mid-tier team that goes all the way. So let's just see what happens. I really don't know who's going to go in the West yet. I just think it's going to be the Boston Celtics going to win it by far. And that's that. Now, Coach of the Year. I do think that new Knicks team is going to be fun to watch. I think they're going to be the funnest team to watch all year, which is amazing. The NBA is much better when the New York Knicks is a competitive team. We need the Knicks, we need the Boston Celtics, and we need the LA Lakers to be a competitive franchise this year. And I'm looking forward to it. So I think, so for Coach of the Year, I'm going to go ahead and pick Tom Thibodeau. I don't know if the Knicks make it over the hump, but I will tell you this. If the Celtics fall this year at all, I am going to take the Knicks to do it all this year. Now, for the in-season tournament champion this year, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Vegas, and I'm going to go ahead and give it to those young kids at OKC. I think OKC is going to take an early lead. They're probably going to have the number 1 seed, probably have a home court. I'll give OKC the in-season tournament, but I'm going to take the Boston Celtics to win it all. Okay, so there you have it. We're going to go ahead and have Rookie of the Year this year. We're going to have Reed Shepherd on the Houston Rockets. Defensive Player of the Year, we're going to have Wemby win it all. Sixth Man of the Year this year, we're going to have Dante DiVincenzo. Most Improved Player, we're going to have Jonathan Kuminga on the Warriors. The MVP this year is going to be Luka. Let's go. And then NBA Champs is going to be the Boston Celtics. Coach of the Year is going to be Tom Thibodeau. There we go. That's the 7 categories for the 2025 preseason predictions. Let's see you at the end of the year. Let's see if we can get 50% correctly. And let's do it.